we must begin by clearing away the ancient debris of superstition. Life is not a punishment. You are not here to suffer to please a distant deity. Nor is life a prize awarded randomly to the lucky. Life is law. It is a system of perfect order, as reliable as gravity, as exact as chemistry. The law of life responds with absolute precision to the quality of your habitual thought. I do not say this to you as a pleasant philosophy to make you feel better for an hour. I say this as an eternal truth. It is the truth that the prophets whispered, the truth the psalmists sang of, and the truth that the Master Jesus taught in every parable. The kingdom of God, that realm of infinite power, perfect clarity, and boundless love, is not a geographical location. It is not lo here or lo there. It is within you. It is a state of consciousness. When your thought is clear, when your understanding of God is true, and when your feelings are pure, your reality arranges itself in the image of that order. But when your thought is scattered, when your theology is one of fear, and when your emotions are turbulent, your world reflects that chaos with a fidelity that is terrifying to the unawakened, but empowering to the wise. Let us understand the nature of this law. You do not argue with electricity. If you wire a house correctly, the electricity will give you light, heat, and power. It will cook your dinner and warm your family. But if you violate the laws of electricity, if you touch a live wire with a wet hand, that same force will kill you. The electricity is not evil when it shocks you, nor is it good when it lights your lamp. It is simply a force responding to the conditions provided. The mind is exactly the same. The divine intelligence, which is the substance of the universe, flows through you ceaselessly. It has no character of its own other than to create. It waits for your direction. If you provide a mold of health, it flows into it and produces a healthy body. If you provide a mold of disease, through fear, resentment, or a belief in frailty, it flows just as readily into that mold and produces a sick body. This is the concept of the mental equivalent. This is the cornerstone of all true metaphysics. For anything to exist in your outer world, you must first have a mental equivalent for it in your inner world. You cannot have a physical condition without a mental pattern that sustains it. It is impossible. You might desire health, you might pray for it, you might beg for it. But if your mental equivalent, your deep-seated, subconscious conviction, is one of sickness, the sickness must remain. Why? Because the law is impersonal. It does not judge your worthiness, it judges your mental state. If you want to change your life, you must cease the futile struggle with persons, things, and circumstances. You must stop trying to manipulate the reflection in the mirror and turn your attention to the face that is casting the reflection. You must build a new mental equivalent. Imagine for a moment that you are a builder. You cannot build a cathedral if your blueprints are for a shack. You may pour the finest marble. You may hire the best masons. You may work night and day with sweat on your brow, but if the blueprint in the architect's office says, shack, you will end up with a shack. Your life is the building. Your thoughts are the blueprints. Most people go through life trying to change the building by moving the bricks around on the outside, while leaving the blueprint untouched in the subconscious mind. This is the definition of futility. This is why you see people who work incredibly hard, who are good and moral people, yet who never seem to rise out of limitation. They are trying to build a cathedral of success using a mental blueprint of poverty. The mental equivalent is the sum total of your beliefs, feelings, and expectations about a specific subject. You have a mental equivalent for your health. You have a mental equivalent for your income. You have one for your relationships and one for your own self-worth. If your mental equivalent of business is struggle, competition, and scarce resources, then no matter what market you enter, you will find struggle. If your mental equivalent of love is rejection, abandonment, or conflict, then you will attract partners who play out that script perfectly. It is not bad luck, it is the law of correspondence. As within, so without. I do not ask you to accept this blindly. The era of blind faith is over. We are in the era of spiritual understanding. I ask you to look at your life today as a scientist looks at a laboratory experiment. Every day, life presents itself to you as a flawless, polished mirror. When you walk out into the street, observe what happens. Do you meet angry people? Do you encounter delays? Do you find yourself slighted or ignored? Or do you meet smiles? Do doors open for you? Do you find cooperation? The events of your day are not random. They are the diagnosis of your soul. If you sow seeds of judgment in your mind, If you are constantly criticizing the government, your neighbors, or the weather, you are building a mental equivalent of hostility. Life, being the mirror, will reflect that back to you. You will find that the world seems to judge you. You will feel persecuted. You will say, "Why is everyone so against me?" But the everyone is just the reflection of your own critical spirit. Conversely, if you sow seeds of gratitude, if you train your mind to look for the good, to praise the beauty in a landscape, to appreciate the service of a waiter, to bless the prosperity of a friend, life will multiply the reasons for you to give thanks. It is not that you are lucky. It is that you have established a mental equivalent of appreciation, and the universe rushes to fill that mold with tangible blessings. Let us use the analogy of the garden, for it is the most perfect description of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the soil. It is rich, fertile, and willing. It is ready to grow anything. Now, mark this well, the soil does not care what you plant. It does not have a moral opinion. If you plant the seeds of the deadly nightshade poison, the soil will work with all its energy to produce a perfect, poisonous plant. If you plant the seeds of a rose, the soil will work with equal energy to produce a beautiful, fragrant flower. The soil does not say, "Oh, nightshade is bad. I shall not grow it." No, it follows the law of growth. You are the gardener. Your conscious thoughts, your habitual emotions, and the silent conversations you have with yourself, these are the seeds. If you wake up in the morning and think, "I am so tired. I don't want to go to work. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm afraid I won't have enough money for rent." You are walking through your mental garden dropping seeds of poison. You are sowing weeds, and the law of mind, being faithful and creative, takes those seeds and begins to germinate them. It brings you fatigue. It brings you conflict at work. It brings you a shortage of funds. And then, when the weeds grow high and choke your life, you cry out, "Why is God doing this to me?" God is not doing it to you. God is doing it through you. The divine principle is honoring your freedom to choose your seeds. You cannot sow nettles and demand that the soil produce roses. It is a violation of law. But, and here is the glorious truth, you can start sowing roses today. Even if the garden is currently full of nettles, if you stop feeding the nettles and start planting roses, the nettles will eventually die for lack of attention, and the roses will bloom. Imagine you are walking down a dark alley. You have walked there every day for 10 years. Every day you trip over the same loose cobblestone. You bruise your knee. You curse the stone. You blame the city council. You blame your shoes. But nothing changes. Why? Because you haven't changed the route. The mental equivalent is the root. It is the groove in your mind through which your creative energy flows. Until you change the image you hold, until you establish a new route, you will arrive at the same destination. Many people come to me and say, "Emmet, I have prayed for money for years, but I am still poor." Why? And I tell them, you are praying for money, but you are thinking about poverty. This is a subtle but colossal difference. When you pray for something from a place of desperation, your underlying feeling is, "I do not have this." You are affirming the absence of the good. Your mental equivalent is one of lack. You are telling the universal mind, "I am poor, I am needy, I am without." And the universal mind says, "So be it," and manifests more lack. You see, the divine mind does not listen to the words you recite with your lips. It listens to the conviction of your heart. It responds to the feeling behind the prayer. If you ask for health, but your mental equivalent is a detailed knowledge of your symptoms, a fear of what the doctor will say, and a constant rehearsal of your pain to anyone who will listen, you are nourishing the sickness. You are watering the weed while asking for the rose. This leads us to a vital correction in our spiritual practice. We must move away from the old, superstitious idea of begging God. God is not a man sitting on a cloud who needs to be persuaded to help you. God is not a reluctant tyrant who requires your tears and suffering before he grants a favor. God is love. God is the infinite. Yes. The desire you feel for a better life is actually God seeking to express that better life through you. Therefore, the prayer that creates, the prayer that builds a new mental equivalent, is not a petition. It is an affirmation. It is not a beggar asking for a crust of bread. It is a son or daughter claiming their inheritance. Instead of saying, "Please God, don't let me lose my job," which is a prayer based on the mental equivalent of fear and loss, you must learn to say, "I thank you, Father, that I am in my right place, doing my right work, perfectly sustained by your law. Do you feel the difference? One is a vibration of fear, the other is a vibration of confidence. One sows weeds, the other sows wheat. When Jesus stood before the tomb of Lazarus, he did not beg. He did not say, "O Lord, if it be thy will, and if I have been good enough, please consider bringing him back." No, he said, "Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me." He gave thanks before the visible result appeared. He had the mental equivalent of life, even in the presence of death. And because his mental mold was so perfect, so absolute, the physical reality had no choice but to conform. Lazarus came forth. You might be saying, "This sounds wonderful, but my reality is hard. I have real bills, real pain, real loneliness. How can I ignore that?" I am not asking you to ignore it in the sense of delusion. I am asking you to deny it the power to control your future. You must become an architect of the invisible. You must begin to draft the new blueprint. Think of the area of your life that hurts the most right now. Is it your health, your finances, your heart? Now, close your eyes for a moment. What is the picture you see when you think of that problem? Do you see yourself struggling? Do you hear the arguments in your head? Do you feel the tightness in your stomach? That, my friend, is the current mental equivalent. That is the mold. And as long as you hold that mold, you are pouring your God-given creative energy into it, hardening it into concrete reality every single day. To change the condition, you must dissolve that mold and build a new one. You must begin to see yourself as you wish to be, but not as a fantasy of the distant future. You must build the equivalent of it being true now. In the mental realm, there is no time. There is only the eternal now. If you want health, your mental equivalent must be an image of vitality. You must see yourself walking briskly, breathing deeply, doing the things you love. You must claim, "I am a spiritual being, and the spirit cannot be sick. Therefore, my body is the temple of the living God, charged with divine energy." If you want abundance, you must stop engaging in poverty conversations. You must stop counting your pennies with fear. You must build a mental equivalent of circulation, of order, of sufficiency. You must see God as your supply, not your job, not the government, not your pension. Those are merely channels. The source is the divine mind. If one channel closes, the source will open another, provided your mental equivalent is open to receive. This teaching is liberating, but it is also challenging. It takes away your excuses. It takes away the luxury of blaming others. As long as you believe your unhappiness is caused by your spouse, your boss, the economy, or your upbringing, you are powerless. You have given the key to your happiness to someone else. But the moment you accept the law of the mental equivalent, you take the power back. You realize, I am the thinker. I am the chooser. I am the gardener. If the garden is full of weeds, it is because I slept while the enemy feared sowed them. But I am awake now. I can sharpen the hoe of my will. I can pull out the weeds of resentment. I can plant the seeds of love. This is the great adventure. You are not a victim of a malevolent universe. You are a creator in training. The world without is a reflection of the world within. If you do not like the picture on the screen of your life, do not attack the screen. Do not shout at the movie. Go up to the projection booth, which is your own consciousness, and change the film. We are laying the foundation today. You must accept this premise if you wish to proceed. You must accept that your dominant thoughts become things. You must accept that you cannot think one way and live another. The house of your life is divided against itself. If you pray for success but prepare for failure, we are going to learn how to unify the mind. We are going to learn how to substitute the old, broken patterns for new, divine patterns. We are going to learn how to use the golden key to unlock any door, no matter how rusty the lock or how heavy the chain. But it starts here. It starts with a decision. Are you willing to stop being a thermometer that just registers the temperature of the world around you? And are you willing to become a thermostat, one who sets the temperature and forces the world to adjust to you? The law is neutral. The law is waiting. The mental equivalent is the tool. In the next stage of our journey, we will discuss exactly how to build this mold when the world is screaming the opposite. We will discuss the technique of substitution, the art of outwitting the old habits that try to drag you back into the dark. But for now, carry this truth with you. You are the master of your fate, because you are the master of your thought. The kingdom is not a place you go to. It is a place you come from. Stand tall. Breathe deep. The past is dead. The future is a blank page, and the pen is in your hand. We have established the great truth that your life is a faithful reflection of your mental state. and that to change the outer world, you must first construct a new mental equivalent in the inner world. You now know that you are the architect. You know that the blueprint must change before the building can change. But here we arrive at the great precipice where so many sincere seekers fall. It is the gap between knowing the truth intellectually and living the truth practically. How many times have you said, "I know I should think positively," yet 5 minutes later you find yourself drowning in a swamp of worry? How many times have you resolved to be courageous, only to find the old tremors of fear shaking your knees the moment the pressure is applied? It is not because you are weak. It is not because you are destined to fail. It is because you have not yet mastered the technique of the work. You are trying to drive a car by pushing it from behind, instead of sitting in the driver's seat and turning the key. Today, we are going to climb into the driver's seat. We are going to move from the theory of mental science to the practice of it. We are going to discuss the tools, the hammer and the chisel, with which you will carve out this new destiny. First, a warning. The most common mistake the beginner makes is to try to force the new mental equivalent into existence by sheer willpower. You grit your teeth. You clench your fists. You say, "I will not be sick. I will be rich. I will be happy." You turn your spiritual practice into a battlefield. My friend, this is fatal. In the realm of the mind, effort is self-defeating. This is the law of reversed effort. The more you struggle to not think about a pink elephant, the more the pink elephant dominates your mind. The more you try to force yourself to sleep, the more awake you become. Why? Because when you use willpower, you are silently admitting that there is a great resistance to be overcome. You are acknowledging the reality of the enemy. If you have to fight a demon, you are validating the demon. The mental equivalent is not built by force. It is built by interest. It is built by attention. It is built by relaxation. The subconscious mind, that giant engine that runs your life, does not respond to orders shouted in anger. It responds to images held in quiet faith. It responds to the gentle, persistent pressure of a new idea. You cannot plant a seed by smashing it into the ground with a hammer. You place it gently in the soil, you cover it, and you water it. This brings us to the greatest practical secret in all of metaphysics. If you remember nothing else from this series, remember this. It is the law of substitution. It is a simple physical fact that two objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time. You cannot have your car in the garage and a truck in the garage in the exact same spot simultaneously. The mind follows the same law. You cannot hold two thoughts in your mind at the same time. You cannot be thinking of success and failure in the exact same split second. You cannot be thinking of God's love and your neighbor's malice in the same instant. Therefore, the way to get rid of a negative thought is not to fight it. Do not argue with it. Do not analyze it. Do not try to reason it away. Substitute it. If a negative thought comes to you, let us say, the thought of financial ruin, do not say, "I must not think about poverty." That is still thinking about poverty! You are still vibrating on the frequency of lack. Instead, instantly, immediately, turn your attention to something else. Turn it to the concept of God's providence. Turn it to a specific image of prosperity. Turn it to the beauty of the flower in the vase on your table. It almost doesn't matter what you turn to, as long as it is constructive and different from the negative thought. Imagine your mind is a slide projector. There is a slide of a tragedy currently on the screen. You do not scrub the screen to get rid of the picture. You simply slide in a new picture, a triumph, and the old picture disappears instantly. You cannot have darkness and light in the same room. You do not shovel the darkness out with buckets. You switch on the light. The law of substitution is the switch. You must become vigilant. Most people let their minds run like a wild dog in the street, chasing every car that goes by. A worry comes. They chase it. A resentment from 10 years ago surfaces. They chew on it. A fear of the future appears. They run after it. You must put a leash on the mind. You must practice what I call the spot check. Several times a day, stop, freeze, look at your mind. Ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? If this thought were to manifest as a physical thing, which it will, would I want it? If the answer is no, use the law of substitution. Drop the thought like a hot coal. Do not linger on it. Do not say, well, I'll just finish worrying about this bill, and then I'll be positive. No, drop it. Replace it. God is my supply. The Spirit is infinite richness. I am in the flow. At first, the negative thought will try to come back. It has momentum. It has a groove in your brain. It will knock on the door again in 5 seconds. You simply substitute again. You do not get angry. You do not get discouraged. You simply slide the good picture back in. You may have to do this 20 times in 1 minute. That is fine. That is the work. That is the labor of the spiritual gardener weeding his plot. Eventually, the weed gets tired. Eventually, the new neural pathway is formed. Now, let us move to a specific construction technique. We need a way to imprint the new mental equivalent deeply into the subconscious, past the critical barrier of the conscious mind. I offer you a protocol I call the FAFX 7. This is for when you have a specific mountain to move, a chronic illness, a stagnant career, a broken relationship. 5 minutes, this is the duration. You do not need to meditate for hours. 5 minutes of intense, focused, feeling-filled reality is worth more than hours of wandering daydreams. One image, this is the focus. Do not scatter your fire. Do not try to fix your liver, your bank account, and your marriage all in the same session. Pick one. 7 days? This is the cycle. Here is how you do it. Every morning, preferably before your feet hit the floor, or immediately after you sit up, you close your eyes. You relax your body. Tension is the enemy of this work. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breathing slow down. Then you call up your one image. If it is for health, do not see yourself getting better. Getting better implies you are still sick. See yourself well. Construct the scene. You are doing something you would do if you were perfectly healthy. Perhaps you are running on the beach. Now, and this is the secret, you must sensualize it. The subconscious speaks the language of the senses. See the blue of the ocean. Hear the crunch of the sand under your feet. Smell the salt air. Feel the wind on your face and the strength in your legs. Live in that scene for 5 minutes. Do not watch yourself from the outside like a movie character. Be inside the body. Feel the gratitude of it. If your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back. No, we are running on the beach. After 5 minutes, open your eyes and say, "Thank you, Father, that this is the truth." Then, and this is crucial, drop it. Get up, brush your teeth, go to work. Do not go through your day checking your body for symptoms to see if it worked. Do not dig up the seed to see if it has roots. You have planted it. You have watered it with emotion. Now leave it to the law. Repeat this for 7 days. Why 7? It is a cycle of completion. It establishes a rhythm. By the 7th day, if you have done this with feeling, you will notice a shift. You will stop wanting the health and start expecting it. The mental equivalent has been installed. I must emphasize the role of feeling. Emmet Fox has told you, and the psychologists confirm it. A thought without feeling is like an arrow without a bow. It has no propulsion. You can sit there and say, "I am rich, I am rich, I am rich," 1,000 times, but if your stomach is tied in knots of anxiety about the rent, your affirmation is useless. In fact, it is worse than useless, because you are creating a conflict between your conscious words and your subconscious feelings. The subconscious always wins that battle. Therefore, you must generate the feeling of the wish fulfilled. How? By acting the part in your imagination. When you visualize that check in the mail, feel the paper in your fingers. But more importantly, feel the relief. Capture that specific emotion, the long exhale, the dropping of the shoulders, the thought. It is done. I am safe. That feeling of relief is the cement. It binds the image to the substance of the universe. If you cannot feel it yet, do not despair. Fake it until you make it. Actors do this. They assume a posture, they smile, they breathe in a certain way, and soon the emotion follows the action. Now, we must address the invisible force that tries to stop you. You begin this work, you use the law of substitution, you do your FAFX 1-7, and suddenly all hell breaks loose. The washing machine breaks. Your spouse gets angry, you get a headache. You feel a sudden wave of depression. You think, "Oh no, I am doing it wrong. The science doesn't work." Correction. The science is working perfectly. When you disturb the mud at the bottom of a stagnant pond, the water gets dirty before it gets clear. You are stirring up the old patterns. You are challenging the old man, as St. Paul called it, the old self-concept. That old man does not want to die. He has a momentum. He is like a heavy flywheel spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. You have just taken your hand off the wheel and started trying to spin it the other way. There is friction. There is heat. This resistance is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of chemicalization. It means the new idea is colliding with the old idea. Do not be afraid of it. Do not give it power. When the wave of trouble comes, stand firm. Say to it, "This is just the dust of the old house being swept out. I am not moved. I stand on the rock. If you persist, if you keep using substitution, if you keep your vision steady, the momentum of the flywheel will slow down, stop, and then begin to spin in the other direction. And once it spins in the direction of your good, nothing in the world can stop it. To maintain your new mental equivalent, you must plug the leaks. There are 3 major leaks that drain your spiritual power. 1. Complaint. Complaint is the absolute enemy of prosperity. When you complain, you are affirming that you are a victim. You are affirming that God has made a mistake. You are affirming that the outer world has power over you. Every time you complain about the weather, the traffic, or the government, you are punching a hole in your own gas tank. Stop it. I mean this literally. Go on a complaint fast. If you catch yourself complaining, stop mid-sentence. I hate this weather. Actually, the rain is necessary for the harvest. All is well. 2. Anticipatory fear. This is using your creative imagination to build a monument to misery. You lie in bed and write a script where you lose your job, then lose your house, then live under a bridge.
You are a genius filmmaker of disaster!
Use the law of substitution. If you can imagine the worst, you have the exact same faculty to imagine the best. Rewrite the script. If this happens, God will open a door. I will be guided. I will be provided for. 3. Chronic doubt, self-doubt. Who am I to ask for this? I have sinned. I am not spiritual enough. Rubbish. The law does not care if you are a sinner or a saint, any more than electricity cares if you are a sinner or a saint. It works if you contact it. You are a child of the infinite. Your worthiness is not established by your actions, it is established by your existence. You are here, therefore, God has a purpose for you. Drop the guilt. Guilt is just another form of vanity, thinking your sins are too big for God to handle. So, here is your marching order for this stage of the journey. We are moving from theory to practice. Morning, dedicate your first waking moments to the 5x1 of 7. Build the mold. Feel it. Give thanks for it. During the day, carry your sword of substitution. Be vigilant. Watch the doorway of your mind. When a negative thought approaches, halt it. Halt. Who goes there? If it is not a friend, a constructive thought, do not let it enter. Turn your back on it and look at something good. Do not complain. Not about the small things, and not about the big things. Evening, before you sleep, do not review the news. Do not review your troubles. Review your successes. Even if it was just that you had a good cup of coffee. Gratitude is the frequency that allows the new mental equivalent to harden into fact while you sleep. My friend, you do not have to wait for the world to change. The world is waiting for you to change. The power is not in the future. The power is in the now. Right now, in this second, you can choose what you think, and in the next second, you can choose again and again. That series of choices is your destiny. You have the tools, you have the law of substitution. You have the method of visualizing the wish fulfilled. You understand the nature of the resistance. Now, you must do the work. No one can do it for you. I can explain the blueprint, but you must lay the bricks. In the final part of this series, we will discuss the ultimate discipline, the 7-day mental diet, and the master key that opens doors when all human effort has failed. But do not wait for that. Start today. Look at your problem. Look it in the eye, and say to it, "You have no power over me. I have a new mental equivalent. I am building a new house, and there is no room in it for you. Go forth and build." We have arrived at the summit of our journey. We have laid the foundation by understanding that your world is a reflection of your mental equivalent. We have learned the tools of the trade, the law of substitution, and the art of visualization. But now, my friend, the time for theory is over. Now comes the test. It is one thing to understand these laws intellectually while sitting in a comfortable chair. It is quite another to apply them in the heat of battle, when the world is screaming at you, when fear is knocking at the door, and when your old habits are demanding to be fed. Today, I am going to give you the master plan. I am going to hand you the 2 most powerful weapons in the arsenal of mental science. One is a discipline so rigorous that it will completely rewire your character. The other is a spiritual emergency key that will open any door, no matter how tightly locked. If you have been waiting for the secret, this is it. But be warned, this is not for the lazy. This is for the soul who is finished with suffering and is ready to take command. I challenge you to an experiment. It is the most important experiment of your life. I call it the 7-day mental diet. You know that if you eat poison, your body will get sick. It does not matter if you are a good person, if you swallow arsenic. The laws of biology dictate that you will suffer. Your mind is no different. Every thought is food. Every emotion is nourishment. If you feed your mind a diet of resentment, fear, criticism, and self-pity, your life must become sick. It must manifest poverty, illness, and loneliness. To heal your life, you must go on a diet. But this is not a fast from food, it is a fast from negativity. Here are the rules. They are simple, but they are strict. For 7 consecutive days, you must not allow yourself to dwell on a single negative thought. Notice my choice of words carefully. I did not say that negative thoughts will not come. They will come. You live in a world of mass consciousness. Fears will pop into your head. Old memories of injustice will surface. That is not the failure. The failure is to dwell on them. Imagine you are wearing a beautiful, pristine white coat. You are sitting by a crackling fire. Suddenly, a hot cinder pops out of the fire and lands on your sleeve. What do? Do you look at the cinder and say, "Oh, look at this cinder, it is so hot. It reminds me of the cinder that burned me last year. I wonder why cinders always land on me." No. If you do that, the cinder burns a hole in your coat. You brush it off immediately. You do not analyze it. You do not argue with it. You flick it away the instant it lands. That is how you must treat negative thoughts during the 7-day mental diet. When a thought of criticism comes, flick it away. When a thought of sickness comes, flick it away. When a thought of poverty comes, do not invite it in for tea. Flick it away. You must do this for 7 days continuously. If you sustain a negative mood, if you indulge in a pity party, or if you sit down to gossip about your neighbor, you have broken the diet. You must stop. You must wait a day or 2 to gather your strength. And then you must start again at day 1. You cannot patch up a broken diet. It must be 7 clean days. Why is this necessary? Because your subconscious mind is a creature of habit. It has been trained for years to react with fear and negativity. To break that chain, you need a period of absolute purity. You need to starve the old man of his food. If you can make it through 7 days, and I tell you, it will be the longest week of your life, you will be a different person on the 8th day. The mental fog will lift. The heavy chains of anxiety will snap. You will see the world with new eyes. You will find that the problems that seemed like mountains have shrunk into molehills or vanished entirely. But you must be ruthless. You cannot afford the luxury of a single negative thought. As I have said before, you cannot afford it. The price you pay in lost happiness is too high. While you are on this diet, you need something to fill the void. When you flick away the negative thought, what do you put in its place? You put truth. You practice scientific prayer. Forget everything you learned about begging a distant God for favors. That is not prayer. That is unbelief. Scientific prayer is the practice of the presence of God. It is the conscious alignment of your mind with the divine mind. It follows a specific structure, often called treatment. 1. Recognition. You begin by looking away from the problem and looking toward God. You remind yourself of what God is. God is love. God is infinite intelligence. God is all power. There is no other power. 2. Unification. You then declare your relationship to this power. I am the child of God. I am an expression of this life. There is no separation between the wave and the ocean. There is no separation between my spirit and the divine spirit. 3. Realization. This is the work. You affirm the specific truth that counters your lie. If the lie is poverty, the truth is God is infinite supply, and that supply is flowing through me now. If the lie is sickness, the truth is God is perfect life, and that life is manifesting in my cells now. You do not say this to make it happen. You say it because it is true. You are waking yourself up to the reality that has always been there. 4. Gratitude. You end with thanksgiving. Thank you, Father, that this is so. This seals the deal. It stops you from worrying. You have placed the order. Now you trust the delivery. Sometimes, however, you will find yourself in a situation where you are too frightened, too angry, or too confused to do a proper treatment. The emotions are too high. You cannot concentrate. In those moments, you use the golden key. I have taught this to thousands of people, and it has saved lives, saved businesses, and saved marriages. It is the simplest spiritual tool in existence, yet it is the most potent. The rule is this: stop thinking about the difficulty, whatever it is, and think about God instead. That is it. There is no more to it. If you are facing a lawsuit, stop thinking about the lawyer, the judge, the injustice, the cost. Stop spinning the story. Think about God. What do I mean by think about God? Think about the nature of the divine. God is wisdom. God is truth. God is love. God is present everywhere. God is the only power. Repeat these truths to yourself. Quote a psalm if it helps. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Do not think about God in the lawsuit. That is the trap. You must turn your back completely on the problem and face the light. Why does this work? It works because of the law of polarity. You are taking your attention, which is your creative energy, away from the thing you fear wars, which starves it, and placing it on the absolute reality, which magnifies it. When you think about God, you rise in consciousness, and from that higher level of consciousness, the solution flows naturally. You get out of the way. You stop blocking the divine light with your shadow of fear. Use the golden key. It is the master key. It fits every lock. I must clarify one final point. This work, the diet, the prayer, the golden key, is not a struggle of willpower. If you find yourself gritting your teeth, holding your breath, and trying hard to think about God, you are doing it wrong. You are using the human will. Spiritual power is not force, it is peace. Think of a drowning man. If he struggles and thrashes the water, he sinks. If he relaxes and leans back, the water holds him up. The law of mind is like the water. It wants to support you. It wants to buoy you up. But you must stop thrashing. When you use the golden key, do it gently. I am looking at God now. When you flick away the negative thought, do it lightly. Not today. I choose peace. It is a quiet determination. It is a relaxed knowing. Be still and know that I am God. The stillness is the secret. So, here we are. You have the map. You have the compass. You have the supplies. You understand that you are building a mental equivalent. You understand that you must use substitution to change your thoughts. You understand the 7-day mental diet to cleanse your soul, and you hold the golden key for times of trouble. The question that remains is the only one that matters. What will you do with this? Will you nod your head, say, "That was interesting," and go back to complaining about the news? Or will you stand up, shake off the dust of the past, and claim your heritage? You are not a cork bobbing on the ocean of fate. You are the captain of the ship. The engine is your subconscious mind. The rudder is your conscious thought, and the destination is the kingdom of heaven, which is health, harmony, and achievement right here on earth. Look at your life today. Whatever you see, good or bad, you built it. And because you built it, you can rebuild it. Start today, not tomorrow. Today. Start your 7-day diet. Use your golden key. Build your mental equivalent. God is waiting for you. The law is waiting for you. The world is waiting for your light. Go forth and be the cause. Go forth and demonstrate the truth. According to your faith be it unto you.